everybody. Welcome back to this week's episode of Hustle Culture Dropout. I am your host, Chastity Campbell, and I am here today with my friend and amazing accountability coach, Ashley Carlotta. She is a certified accountability health coach and a group fitness trainer, and she has a very incredible outlook that I love so much about approach to physical self-care, and you promote the idea and the possibility loss and exercise without being on a diet. And I love that so much. And so Ashley is going to share with us all sorts of wonderful tips and tricks and talk to us about her personal philosophy and how she got started. And so Ashley, why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got started on this journey?
Yeah, Chas. Well, thank you so much for having me. You
Mm-hmm.
know, what I was thinking about today, it was a year ago that we met, actually.
Yes, I know. Like
And
it was February.
we had both booked a business retreat and we had no idea like who was going to be going to this business retreat in California. And Chastity and
Right.
I ended up being on the same flight, literally the same flight.
Yeah.
So cool.
And you're in McKinney too. Like we had the Texas
Right,
connection, and then
right.
yeah, being on the same flight. So that was
Yeah.
amazing.
Okay, so backstory, I didn't like grow up thinking I was going to be a health coach. I don't even think that was a thing. Back when I was 6 years old is my first memories of being unhappy with my body. I had to be in this Nutcracker show and I had to wear a leotard and tights. And I remember crying, not wanting to go out there, telling my
Uh,
mom, like that was the first time that I had started comparing myself to other little girls, realizing that I was heavier than others. And just the ups and downs of my childhood, my teenage years, it just was awful for me as far as I didn't like the way that I looked. My mom would order me clothes from the J.C. Penney catalog, the plus size. I
mm,
remember when you had to order from catalogs.
yeah.
And very early on, I started dieting. I probably read it in a People magazine or a Self magazine somewhere that you need to count your calories. And, the Slim Fast ads would come on the commercials and
Mm-hmm.
stuff. And I begged my mom to get me some Slim Fast shakes. I had no idea what I was doing. I would have one like in the morning, and then I would have one for lunch. And let's say it was a Friday, I clearly would be starving by dinner. And so I'd be like, well, I
Mm-hmm.
didn't eat anything all day, so I'm just going to have a bunch of pizza. And then I would
Right.
go overboard with eating. So none of it made sense, just very insecure and always comparing like what I was eating to what my friend would be eating. For example, like once we started driving, it's like we go to Taco Bell or Jack in the Box. Like, why was I always so much more hungry than other people? And why was I eating more? And little did I know at the time that it was an emotional eating response. A lot
Mm-hmm.
of the way that I coped with things was from eating. I grew up dancing, and another thing that was a trigger for me was when I wanted to take my ballet classes to point, and I was told that I needed to lose 10 pounds before I could do point. And again, it was like, okay, I have to go on a diet. So fast forward like to my wedding day, I still didn't feel like I had lost enough weight for that. And I just remember I was trying to cut calories, cut calories to get down to where I wanted to be. After I had my first son, which I had been the heaviest I had ever been. Well, I weighed in right before I had him at 200 pounds. Now, granted, I lost, that little baby and like some
Mm-hmm.
water weight, but I never fully got down to where I wanted to be before I got pregnant again. And I felt so gross. Moms, like when after you've had your babies and you're like sweaty and you just feel gross. I just felt extra, extra gross. So after I had my second baby, I was so done with just going on a diet and failing again and again
Mm-hmm.
and again. I was tired of it. So I was like, I need to try to do something differently this time. So instead of counting calories, I started counting macros for this first time. And I didn't work with anyone specifically. I just was doing a lot of education on my own. And
Mm-hmm.
I had made some new friends now that I had had kids. And I was just wondering, like, how did you get your baby weight off? Like, how are you staying in shape? What are you eating? And so I think for the first time, because these were my newer friends, that I felt like I could be a little bit more open with them, because my other friends, it's like if they only knew all of those like thoughts that had been spiraling on in my head about my body for so many years, it was almost like too late to talk about it with them.
Yeah.
So
Right.
let me open it up for the new friends. And so slowly but surely, it was I gave myself an entire year. Like for the first time, I wasn't wanting to lose weight super fast. I got down to my goal weight, which I'm 5'4". And so like 135 to 140 is always where I wanted to be, but I had never got there without gaining the weight back. Well, I maintained that for 2 solid years. And then after that, we decided to have another child. And I was like kind of terrified because I'm like, I feel really good. Like for the first time, I feel like I could go in my closet. I could wear whatever I want without feeling insecure and stuff. So after I had my third baby, it was one of those things where I knew exactly what I needed to do to lose the weight and to lose the fat and all that stuff. But since I didn't have eyes on me, it was like, well, I have this party coming up, so I'm just going to wait until then. Or I would mess up. I'd be like, I'm going to do really good. And then Thursday I'd go for a girls' night. And then I'd be like, well, okay, I'll start again on Monday. So I ended up signing up for this accountability challenge at my gym, and it ended up being terrible. Like I thought somebody was going to be checking in with me like daily and stuff, but it was really like just a once a week, like, so how are you doing? And
Yeah.
I needed so much more than that. So I started sharing my journey on Instagram. I made it private at first, like just to my friends. I was sharing what I was eating, when I was doing my workouts, how much water I was drinking, and just I needed there to be somebody watching what I was doing to actually do it. I would do weigh-in Wednesdays. I took my before pictures. And then before I knew it, people were like, you should totally help me. Like, what are you doing? What diet are you on and stuff? And so I made my profile public after I started helping my friends like for free. And then people actually reached out to me and asked if they could pay me to help them. So
Right.
here I was like,
You're
oh my
like,
gosh,
sure, I'll take your money. Give me all your
yeah,
money.
I know. I was like, there has to be something to this. So from there, I went and got my health coaching certificate. I went through a year of training. And quite honestly, from my trial and error, I knew a lot already, but I kind of felt like I needed to get like a certification behind my name to be real, you know?
Right. Right.
So,
Yeah.
and then here I was, and it developed into a business. And so what I primarily specialize in is accountability and keeping women consistent on their health journey. Because oftentimes, a lot of times, we know what to do, but women specifically, men also too, I work with men, but they want quick. They're like, tell me
Yes.
what to do so that I can just do it and I can get to like my goal faster. And so I'm always like, hold on, hold on. What do you really
Right.
want? Do you want lasting change, or do you just want that quick thing so you can lose weight for your vacation and then you're going to have to do it all over again?
Right.
And so I think consistency and accountability is what's missing for most people. And so that's what I help with, like planning ahead and all of that.
I love that. And because I feel like that method, as with so many things in life,
Right.
is that's something that's sustainable. Like I actually went through your program and had contacted you and worked with you, and that is one of the things, is that when you actually learn and you have the foundation of somebody checking in, it wasn't just you checking in, it was actually your education and saying, like teaching me, like, you need to eat protein in the morning. Like, you were so good about being like, get your protein in, have your fat. Like, if you're going to eat a carb, make sure you have a protein with it. Like, you were so good about like educating. And that was things that I felt like it wasn't like, it was so different from just being on a diet, because I'm like, yeah, everybody knows, like, if you need to be in a calorie deficit, right? Like, if you're going to lose weight, like, that's all you hear about. Well, okay, that's simple math, but that doesn't, it's, as soon as you start eating more calories, you're going to gain weight back. Like,
Right.
so it's, whenever you were teaching it, it was like you were actually educating me on things that I still remember and I carry with me even after we stopped working together,
Good.
which helps make that whole program sustainable, because it's really not like, it's not a diet, it's a lifestyle. And you're just kind of adding like these other components to it, the accountability, right, that I feel like is so different from everything else that we hear.
Yeah. And I mean, I primarily work with women who are very busy. And like you, like sometimes, I'd have to remind you to eat. And
Yes.
oftentimes I was telling you to eat more. I wasn't telling you to eat less, right?
Right. Yes. Yeah.
And making sure that you were getting your workouts in consistently and nothing crazy, right? You'd be
Right.
doing like
Right.
15 or 20 minutes, just making sure that you're prioritizing that time because it's not just about losing weight. You want to lose fat and you want to do it simultaneously. So you have to get those workouts in. And then you have to make sure that you have the proper nutrition to fuel your body to actually lose fat. Because if you lose
Hmm.
weight, okay, great, but you're not going to feel better about your body. You're not going to feel strong. You're not going to feel tone. And so it's got to go together. And so that's why I offer so many layers of accountability. I have some people who are like, I'm really good at working out, but then I just eat
Hmm.
like crap after. So, okay, let's just
Hmm.
hone in on the nutrition. And then I have people
Right.
who eat pretty well. Quite honestly, they don't eat a lot or overeat at all, but they're not exercising. And so
Hmm.
it's very, very personalized to
Yes.
the
Yeah.
person and making sure that you're thinking ahead because like with any goal that you have in mind, you can't just wing it. You can't wake up in
Right.
the morning and totally wing it. Now, does that come with time? Yeah. I mean, sometimes I wake up and I have no idea what I'm doing, right? But for the most part, I have
Hmm.
to make sure that I have some things in my fridge that I can go to.
Right.
And now that I'm doing a lot of fitness coaching too, like I have to make sure that I'm fueling my body so that I can get through that day. Otherwise, I'm going to totally crash. So that's what I help
Exactly.
with because people, they get really overwhelmed with planning because I think so many of this like Pinterest stuff and we think with meal planning like it has to be like some drawn out thing that you do on Sunday and you're doing all this prepping and I mean I personally would never do that because I mean that just again it feels overwhelming. So as long as you're
Hmm.
thinking like 2 to 3 days in advance and you could throw in a grocery order at any time or another thing that I help with it's like if you're going out like how can I be successful going out? Or if I'm stopping by the grocery store on my lunch, or I find myself in a Chick-fil-A line, it's like, how can I still be successful here? And again, not feeling like I just have to get the side salad
Right.
and
Right.
eat like a rabbit. Like, what's that going to
Right.
do? You're going to be hungry in 2 seconds and then go somewhere else and get a milkshake. So,
Exactly, exactly. Well, and that was something too that I felt like was really unique is well, backing up a minute, like it truly is the fact that it's so personalized, I feel like is such an asset to the program and what your philosophy is because when you sit and you think about it, I can give general like well-being or self-care tips and say like this is what works for me. Like I do this or I do this or I do this. But the fact of the matter is that we're all at different seasons of our lives. We all, like my kids are older, so I might have a little more time to like take a longer walk or to, go to an actual yoga class or something. Whereas somebody who has little toddlers running around might only have like 15 minutes where they have to like incorporate their exercise like with their children. And so you do like a really great job of that, and I feel like that is something that people sort of need to realize is that we are so focused on looking at what everybody else is doing and then feeling like this is exactly what I need to do. And if I do not do it exactly like Ashley does it, or exactly like Chastity does it, or whatever, then somehow I am not doing it right. Like
yeah.
there's a right for you. Like and so I feel like that is just such an important message to I mean, in all aspects of things, but especially when it comes to like just taking care of yourself, is that we're going to like different things. I mean, you would give me workouts like on Sundays, and I loved it because I told you initially, like, this is what I normally do. Like, this is what, like, I normally like ride my Peloton or I normally like do these things. And you would incorporate those in because you knew that I liked them, but you also put other things out there and I tried other things. And there
Hmm.
were things that I didn't even know that I would like. And so I mean, it was great because I felt like, oh, if I went to a gym, I would be like stuck in this, like, I would be on the treadmill and then, or I would be stuck in this like one particular class where everybody's doing the exact same thing. And so I love that part. And it is like your self-care program, your physical activity, your what you're eating, like that's all needs to be so personalized. And so
Yeah.
working with somebody like you is so I mean, it just helps so much to have that personalization.
I appreciate that so much. Thank you for saying that because I really do think that support just goes a long way. And having that daily support and somebody that you
Mhm.
know is going to check in with you, it puts a little pressure on you, but then it also knows that you feel supported in however your day goes because not every day
Right.
is going to go as planned. And back to not comparing yourself to other people, I think this is important too, because a lot of times people are going to start like a certain plan, right? And it's like, okay,
Mhm.
the plan calls for you eat this on these days and you're going to work out on these days and it has to be this. So then you fall off the plan and it's like, well, okay, now I'm not doing anything. And so I really help people get out of the all or nothing mentality. That's dear to my heart because I feel like that's how I was for so many years. I was either on and I was working on myself and my health and again, it was usually only geared towards weight loss versus like now that I have 3 kids and I'm managing a business and all of these things, it's like it's truly for my self-care. Like now I'm doing it
Mhm.
because I want to feel good. I want to feel strong. I want to have energy. But to be on and then off, we hear how people in December, it's like, well, I haven't worked out since Thanksgiving and now it's January. And I'm like, no, like even if you're not getting to the gym and you're not getting to your hour workouts, that doesn't mean that you can't go for a 10-minute walk or throw on a 10-minute YouTube
Right.
video. And so I can help you if you're like, you know what, shit, I totally forgot to put out salmon that I was going to make today. All right, well, what do you have? You have some beans?
Right.
Like, let's throw
Right.
something together and just give you ideas on how don't have to throw in the towel and drive through Brahms or McDonald's and just be like, I'll try again tomorrow. Because I want you to feel confident when your head hits the pillow. Like, you know what? Today wasn't perfect, but for the most part, like I made good choices and I'm going to feel good when I wake up.
Right, right. Exactly. And I feel like you actually I just shared it on my Instagram stories tonight because you had posted something on Instagram earlier about like just the differences in that like very black or white mentality, like the very all or nothing mentality. And I am 100% guilty of that. Like it's if I fall off the wagon, I'm like, well, I might as well take 3 weeks off. Mean,
Yeah.
and so it's so, like I immediately give myself permission to just fall off. And you had put something up, about that. And it was like, well, if you can't drink, like 100 ounces of water, try drinking 60 or
Right.
whatever. And I love that so much because I have talked over and over again, and I have really adopted this mindset in the last like year to 18 months that consistency doesn't have to be every day 100%. Consistency can still be I am showing up for me 85% of the time, 4 times a week. Like that's still consistent. I consistently know that I'm going to work out 2 times a week. As
Yeah.
so many people think like, oh, well, if I'm going to be consistent, I have to be perfect.
Mhm.
Like they equate this. And then if you're not, well, then, shit hits the fan, right? Like you're just
Yeah.
like, well, I've done nothing. I'm a giant failure instead of just reframing that. And so I always have to like in my mind, I like replay this where I'm like consistence equals persistence. Like
So
consistence is
good.
just being persistent about the goal. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be every day. And it doesn't have to be 100%. If I'm drinking 60 ounces of water as opposed to 100 ounces of water, which maybe 100 is my goal, but if I've done 60, that's a hell of a lot better than zero. And,
Yeah.
2 Cokes. So,
Right. There's another thing that I posted on Instagram a while back too, and other people have posted things similar too, where it'll show you trying to be consistent in eating healthy. So it shows salad, 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 and then it'll show pizza, ice cream, cupcakes, beer, whatever, right? Because
right.
sometimes we try to restrict so much and try to be too perfect, and then it totally backfires because you're going to
Hmm.
have cravings when you try to cut back too much. And so we also, my clients and I, were incorporating having those foods that you also like. But how do we do that in a way that feels moderate to where you can still see your goals? Like you can still have pizza, but should you have 4 slices in one setting? Probably not.
Right.
And I think we all know that, right?
Right.
But there's a
Exactly.
piece of us who, when we're trying to cut back, all of a sudden we're feeling a little bit guilty about having the pizza. So then we just go into that notion of like, well, okay, well, I'm just going to have as much as I want right now because then I'm going to put it away. I'm not going to have any at all. And so
Exactly.
we just get into that cycle. And I was there, I get it. And so I really talk women through this mindset of,
Right. Yeah, no, I agree because I can remember there have really only been a couple times in my life where I've had to like really buckle down and I'm like, I have a significant amount of weight to lose. And the first time I ever went through that, I very much had this mentality of, well, I have a cheat day. Like you have a cheat day, Like, okay, I'm gonna have a cheat day. And on that cheat day, I'm literally going to eat like a year's worth of fucking pizza. Like I am eating a whole pizza because I'm not going to get it. Like I'm not getting it
you're not going
again
to get it.
for
Nope.
6 more days. So I have to eat and never I would not had I reframed that and thought to myself or had somebody to say to me, like, are you really hungry for that entire pizza? Or are you actually only hungry for one single piece of pizza?
Right.
Like you want to like have that craving or you want to feel that like indulgence. And like actually maybe listening to yourself and your body and what your body because I mean your body will tell you what you need if you listen
Right.
to it and if you can actually like tune in and be self-aware enough, which I think a lot of us just are not. It's really like you have to acquire that ability to do that. But if you actually stop and think and feel and think, am I even hungry right now? Or am I just eating out of boredom or because I'm emotional or because I know I can't have this again for 6 days?
Mm-hmm.
It's the same. I've heard a lot of people, like a lot of people are talking about, when they were doing dry January and there was a lot of talk about like, is it better to just like completely like quit alcohol and then like binge, like you're binging, like you're just getting wasted, you're getting blackout drunk. Like that's not
Mm-hmm.
good for you either. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
so it's almost like, yeah, finding a way to incorporate that into your lifestyle, knowing that you're going to want to eat pizza someday or a taco or whatever it is.
Yeah. And I mean, it's kind of like if you're at work too and somebody brings in donuts, right? And let's say you
Mm.
already had like a good filling breakfast or whatever that is. Sometimes we just choose to eat something because it's there, not because we really want it. And in the intuitive eating program that I did, we did a little bit of an experiment with women too. It's like, okay, tomorrow, I want you to have a dessert. I want you to grab your dessert, but I want you to have no distractions because oftentimes we have distractions. We don't even know that we're eating it. And then here we are grabbing another chocolate or whatever it is. So,
Mm-hmm.
what I had them do is take one bite of whatever this yummy dessert is that they wanted, put their spoon down or put it away, give themselves 10, 20 seconds, take in the flavor, now have another bite. And
Mm-hmm.
then after that third bite, ask yourself if you're really wanting more of that or if you're like, I feel really good. Like I got to taste my favorite treat. And so more often than not, they said, honestly, after like 3 or 4 bites, as I was going slow with it, I totally felt satisfied. But we live in a world where we're like this and we don't even know what we're shoveling in our face. And
Right.
oftentimes you have no idea how much you've eaten already.
Right. Exactly, exactly. And so the what do you how do you feel? I mean, I basically already know the answer to this,
It's
but
okay.
I would like to sort of touch on it, I guess, is that I feel like also there is this mindset around the fact that certain foods are bad,
Hmm.
like like assigning this negative connotation to like chocolate is bad or candy is bad or sugar
Hmm.
is bad or carbs are bad. And then I feel like that only plays into I mean, I can really only speak for me, but I feel like other people could relate is that you then have to deprive yourself of that. And so
Hmm.
then again, when you get the opportunity to eat it, you want to eat all of it.
Hmm.
And I think like, don't you feel like if you took away some of that, like this is bad or this is good situation, that would be really helpful?
Yeah, it's just like, how can we incorporate the foods that you really like? Now, we all know things that are more high caloric or not as good for us that have more sugar and things like that. Like, we know, like, as adults, we're educated on, for the most part, what things are better for us than others.
Hmm.
However, it comes back to your choices, right? It always comes back. Sometimes when clients first start with me, they'll say, can I have a glass of wine tonight? And I'm like,
Hmm.
do you want a glass of wine tonight? All
Hmm.
right, well, let's see how we can incorporate. Like, you're not going to go out to dinner and have the steak, the mashed potatoes, and the dessert and the cocktails. So what do you want the most? And then allow yourself to have that, and have a
Mhm.
little bit of each. Yeah. Can I have mayo in my tuna? You
Mhm.
can. Here's
Mhm.
a couple of alternatives. Why don't we try a few things? And if mayo is still the option that tastes best to you, then yeah, let's find a good brand that tastes good for you. We'll go with like, the Primal or another one of those. But yeah, how can we incorporate the foods that you love in a way so that you are still in a calorie deficit and that you're still able to fuel your body with enough protein, carbs, and fats? Like, if you tell yourself you can't have something or that it's bad, 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 you're just going to want it more. I mean,
Right.
you're literally just going to be thinking about that all the time.
Yeah,
So
it's
that's my.
like legitimate like FOMO. It's like this
Hmm.
is what I'm missing. Like I am missing out on every good thing possible that I could put into my body.
Yeah,
I
like
mean,
pasta. Pasta's so huge. When I talk to people for the first time, they'll say, I'm nervous to do something like this. And, they think initially like a diet. I'm nervous to do
mhm,
something like this because I really do like pasta. And I'm like,
mhm,
fantastic. I like pasta too. But that doesn't
right.
mean that we need to gorge on it. Like, we're going to really help you figure out what a solid portion size for you. And so that you're not just filling up on carbs, but again, you're having those healthy fats and the protein too. So it's all a balance. Like, you really can eat
Mhm,
anything you want. It's just, how are you going to balance that? And so that's what I teach. That's what I guide. And by the end, it's like you just have a really good take on how to incorporate everything together so that you feel confident when you're eating, instead of having to ask, hey, can I have this? Yes, I can. And you kind of know
mhm,
about how much you can have. Or you have to think through, what else have I had today? Does that fit in, to my day, depending on what your goal is? And is your goal important to you? And why is your goal important to you? And reminding people when they feel like, oh, I really wish I could have this and that. I'm kind of feeling left out. And why is that? Like,
mhm.
maybe you've been depriving yourself a little bit more than if you feel like you can't have a piece of birthday cake, because that should totally be able to fit into your day. Do you need a huge honkin' slice of it? No, but you can have enough to it to feel like you're not left out, and you can
Right.
still lose weight. I promise you.
Right, right. And I feel like so much like once you actually start to understand that there is not a good food or a bad food. Their foods are just different. Like they just have different nourishing factors
Yeah.
to them. And once you like kind of let go of all of like the noise
The control too.
around food, I because it is tied, I feel like I mean, there's a whole breakdown of things that you can think about of why women in particular are so mindful of what we look like and having the issues with our body. I mean, when you say like you were 6 years old, I mean, I think to myself, yeah, that's an incredibly young age to be aware of your body in that particular manner. Yet
Mhm.
so many of us are. And I think like it once you I mean, if you can actually like get and learn these concepts that you teach, how beneficial that is to your mental health. Like it's not about just like I want to lose weight or I want to gain muscle or I want
Mhm.
to work out and be this like incredible like triathlete or whatever it
No.
is. Like the if you can actually like grasp these concepts and learn how to just like have this be part of your lifestyle and remove the noise around food that
Yeah.
happens for women and like the cycle of I can't eat this because I'm going to look this way and I don't want to look that way so I need to eat this instead, and
Mhm.
it's a constant battle that
Yeah.
I mean that I feel like it can become so consuming. And I
Mhm.
mean, I hear it I hear it every day with people that I work with. Like it, it's like, what are you eating for dinner? What did you have for breakfast? Oh, here comes some cookies. I can't have the cookies. I don't want to have the cookies. Like we are all saying it. Like I walked by the cookies. I didn't have a cookie. Yay me. And then
Ah,
it's like 3 hours later, like, oh, I had the cookie. Oh, and then you like go through this like self-loathing phase.
yeah,
And I'm like, if we could like actually let go of that and learn how to deal with that and like have just this better overall like viewpoint and mindset around food and our bodies, the what it could do for our mental health, I feel like is astonishing. So that's why I feel like I mean, when I talk about self-care, I very much talk about self-care in a mental capacity, but there are 7 different pillars to self-care and physical self-care is one of them. But it's because it all goes hand in hand. And to be like holistically healthy and
hmm,
holistically like happy, all of these things play a role. Like, and not only that, but like when you're getting more sleep or when you're not depressed, like you have more energy
totally.
to work out. You have more energy to like go on a walk. Like
Yeah,
everything is like intertwined. And that's why I just feel like just your program and your philosophy and how you approach it and you teach it, I feel like is so beneficial to those of us who are not just wanting like the physical aspect of it, but we want like to be like holistically happy and healthy
yeah.
and how they all can be like intertwined, you know?
Well, and that's a lot of what my certification, like that we studied and stuff, like, and all of it makes sense because it all goes together. But I mean, physical part is only a piece of the pie, essentially,
Mhm.
right? And so a lot of the women that I talk to, like as I'm coaching them through things, like there's things that are out of balance in their life. And so that's why they're turning to food, or that's
Mhm.
why they're not doing certain things and making themselves a priority because their world over here is out of control, right? And
Mhm.
so back to what you were saying about just being exhausted, I call it mental gymnastics. It's like
Yeah.
my daughter is just, she's just doing
Yes.
flips all over, right? And so we also get so concerned about what the scale says. It's like
Mhm.
for some of us, and this used to be me, now I really, really hone in on how my clothes are fitting, which is something that I
Mhm.
should have done before. But before it was all about a numbers for me. And so it's like you could be out with your girlfriends and, let's say they're all getting appetizers and you're going to have to share stuff or whatever. And you're trying to be good. And then now all of a sudden you're like, what am I going to do? And they're going to judge me if I don't join in with them, although you always have a choice. And so anyway, my point is you're just thinking all these thoughts in your head and it's
Yes.
like, just have some fries. It's going to be okay.
Yeah.
Tomorrow's a new day.
Exactly. Like it is. It's like it is legitimately I mean, and I know this. I mean, over the last year of like my own weight loss journey is just it can be so repetitive. And so it's like I wake up in the morning, I look in the mirror and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, well I have to wear this. Well, this is a little snug today, but it was a little loose last week, but the point is it's snug today. So that's what I'm going
Hmm.
to focus on." And it just starts to consume you and that just affects you in so many different ways and like you like I love that when it's just be like, oh, like just eat the fries, like you will
Yeah.
just literally be like much happier, like do it and you just start again the next day,
Just move
like
on. Like each meal
I
is a
mean, like
choice.
give yourself some grace.
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know
And I do that too. I'm constantly saying, like, look, you made like one little hiccup, like tomorrow's a new
right.
day. And then that's why having that accountability for several weeks in a row, it just gets you into those habits. Like you're going to have hiccups. You're going to have days where you're like, today did not go so well. Okay, well, how can we prep or maybe how can we plan a little bit better tomorrow so that you can set yourself up so that you're not in that situation again where you feel disappointed? Because ultimately, it's about feeling good about yourself and your choices and feeling like I have a little bit of control in this. I'm not out of control. Right.
Right, right, exactly. And even and focusing too just on those like little wins, like it isn't just about like that number on on the scale, like, oh, like my jeans fit or not even that. Like I just like I slept better because I worked out. Like I was able to actually
Yeah.
like fall asleep or mentally I like was able to focus more because,
Totally.
or my skin looks great because I'm hydrated, I mean,
Yeah.
like just like different. parts of that, which I will say, like, you absolutely helped me so much in like my hydration journey. And I'm always, always be like, you would like send those little like emojis, like the little water emoji, like
Yeah.
reminding me like, drink your water. And which at times I would be like, what the hell? Like, I know I have to drink water. Why are you sending me this? And then I'd be like, oh yes, because I actually hired her to tell me this.
Oh, I know. I know. Oh, I'm sure. And I have a lot of like, it's funny, like partners too, like spouses and stuff will be like, are you going to send Ashley that you ate that right now? And like, and I'll be like the joke of the house, right? Or their kids will
Yeah.
be like, hey, make sure that you take a picture of this, mom, or whatever. And so again, it's not about being obsessive about it, but I
Mhm.
feel like mindfulness is so huge in this game of being
Yeah.
consistent. And so it makes you think about things more. Like, am I just going
Mhm.
to eat the rest of the fish crackers that my kid didn't finish? Or am I going to grab that extra nugget? And then am I going to just call that my lunch? No, you're not. I'm going to be like, that is not enough lunch,
Right.
And so just helping
Exactly.
you through that and reminding you to eat on a schedule, I'd be like,
Mhm.
Chastity, you didn't eat your
Yep.
lunch yet. And granted,
Yeah.
sometimes you were busy and you couldn't
Right.
yet, but
And that, but that is also the thing too, is that, yeah, genuine, like people are genuinely busy, but I mean, we also have to have a little mindset shift in that and also be like, I deserve to have a break and
yeah.
eat a meal.
Hmm.
Like I don't like there's literally nothing in my day-to-day life that is like hanging on by like a thread if I
Yes.
like walk away for 30 minutes. Like there's nothing. Like I'm not that important. Like I mean, people are going to live. Like we need to
Yeah.
like really recognize like, and I mean that was the other thing that I started doing too is during that time was like I would actually like take a break and have lunch because so
Hmm.
often I would be like, "Oh, I'm just going to eat at my desk." And, well, then you're eating and you're not like I mean it's just mindless
Hmm.
and you're continuing to work and you don't get a break and it's just overall like it's just not good for your like mental health either.
Yeah.
And so having those reminders like that accountability piece for people just so if anything else just like you just create the habit so then
Yeah.
when that accountability piece is gone you still have the habit like you
Right. And
I
that's what almost everybody will say is like, you're still in my head. I still hear your voice and stuff. And so the reason for them maybe coming back is not because they don't know what to do, but sometimes there's seasons in life where it's a lot more difficult, like, say, starting a
Mhm.
new job or the loss of a loved one. Like, after a miscarriage, like, I've had people that come back to me and are like, I feel like shit, basically. And so I
Mhm.
just want that support again to remind me to take care of myself. Again, it's not that
Yeah.
after they've finished that they don't know what they're doing. It's just it's like having that little angel on their shoulder to,
Yeah,
guide
exactly.
them in the right direction. So accountability has
Exactly.
always done that for me. And that's why, I'm in that business group with you and
Mhm.
everything. It's like I
Yeah.
need I have to have accountability in my life to get stuff done.
No, exactly, exactly. It's super beneficial. It's very helpful. And it's just like if nothing else, it's just nice to know that like somebody else is looking out for you. Because so often as women, we're doing like we're the ones looking out for everybody else. Like we're the ones that are taking care of everybody else. So it's sort of nice to have somebody in your corner to be like, "Hey, guess what? You need to eat. Guess what?
Oh,
You haven't drank any water today, and that's bad for you."
and that's not
Because
good. Yeah.
I mean, because we don't always have that piece. And so it's nice to have somebody care about you and care about your health and care about and be invested in you and make sure that you're successful.
Yeah,
I
and
mean,
that understands that there are always going to be ups and downs. You're not going to
mhm,
start a weight loss journey and then be successful every single week. It's not like a straight down diagonal line. Like,
right.
there's ebbs and flows, and you know that you'll start something, and as soon as there's a little tweak and you're like, "Oh, I don't even know if this is working," we throw in the
Mhm,
towel. And so I
mhm.
always tell my, initial inquiry people that I talk to on the phone, like, I won't let you throw in the towel no matter what.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And I think that's
Yeah.
important as, process.
Yeah. Absolutely, absolutely. Well, I have loved chatting with you. Tell everybody what you have going on right now. Where can they find you? Do you have any like sort of programs or things that you're, getting ready to kick off and
Sure.
that they can, join or you can offer to them? And where can they find you and all of the good stuff?
Sure. I'm looking at my dates right here because I can't remember. Okay. So March 6th is our when our next clients can sign on for
Hmm.
accountability coaching. And you can either sign up for 6 weeks or 12 weeks. If you're interested and just want to see what our coaching looks like, go to betterhealthbyaccountability.com. And if you're really curious and you want to do a little trial, on the website, you can click and do a 3-day accountability trial. And I will send you meal
Awesome.
options for breakfast, lunch, dinner, snacks, even desserts. And then I'll assign you a workout each day. And so we'll kind of do some correspondence and you can kind of see what it feels like to have, someone in your corner. So I would love to chat with anybody who's interested. And you can always find me on Instagram, Better Health by Accountability. I'm on there doing weird dances and posting fun stuff.
You are, and also on TikTok.
Yes.
But I love it. But I love it. All right. Well, thank you so much, Ashley, for being with us. And it was great to catch up with you. I have definitely missed talking with you. So I loved being able to like catch up with you. And everybody, that is a wrap on this week's episode. Make sure that you are subscribing to the podcast, leaving a 5-star review, doing all the things. And we will see you next week. All right, that's it for this episode of Hustle Culture Dropout. I'm your host and real life bestie, Chastity Campbell. Make sure to subscribe to the podcast, leave a 5-star review if you loved it. Don't even bother if it's anything less than 5 stars. You can also follow me on socials at Chastity Campbell Co. or check out the website at chastitycampbell.com. Until next time, here's to living our most radically authentic and unapologetic lives. Thanks for listening.